rock that beat.
So when I was watching this new episode from My Hero Academia, I was really expecting something different than what it did, because the episode kind of starts off with pretty slow pacing, and then by the end of the episode it actually starts picking up way more pace than I thought it was going to, and it did a lot more than what I was expecting, and I actually kind of enjoyed it because of that reason. And there were actually, slower moments that I actually really enjoyed regardless. So overall, I kind of actually really liked this episode to really just start out the video with. But other than that, I also really want to say that I'm really sorry if I sound really sick, because I still am. I've been saying that for the past couple videos now, but I feel awful, and right now I have a killer headache, so I'm probably just gonna speed through as much as I possibly can for this video, just so I can go take, like, I don't know, like an Advil or a Tylenol and just get this headache gone, because it is actually hurting. And so without further ado, let's just get into it. So the beginning of the episode starts off with a recap of what we already got to see in, I think it was the previous episode or previous episodes, because it starts showing off stuff that we've already seen before. And I know why they're doing it. It's because they're really trying to solidify, the emotions of the characters, the two main characters really, of Midoriya, who's obviously the main protagonist of the show, and Miro, who's one of the main characters of this arc. So it's not that I don't understand why they're doing it, but part of me was still kind of like, I didn't really need to see this again, because, I'm watching this show on a weekly basis. I don't need to be told this again. But they did it, and for what it's worth, I mean, I guess for people who are, just extremely forgetful for some reason, there you go. But I don't know, part of me was still kind of annoyed that they went ahead and just did a whole recap like the way they did, because they didn't really need to. And I feel like that's a habit that the show really needs to break out of, which is constantly doing recaps, even though we already know what's going on and have been watching the season since the very beginning, like for the past couple weeks. And the seasons before this one have already been doing this before as well. And at this point, I'm kind of just like, you don't really need to do that. You don't need to do that, because, I'm watching the show on a weekly basis. I'm reviewing it on a weekly basis. Instead of just telling me all this again, just get straight into what you're going to be doing with the episode, and cut out like those like 1.5 2 minutes of the episode, and you can put in like much more of the episode of what you want to show. I think that's the habit that the show needs to break out of, and if it does that, I think certain episodes are going to be significantly better. That's just me, of course, but more people are going to think differently, and that's perfectly okay. But the whole episode is basically just centered around the pros looking for information to find out where Eri is at, her location is at, and Night Eye ends up figuring out that, she's at the main stronghold of the Shie Hasakai, or however you pronounce her name, their group name. But he ends up figuring out where they are, and the whole basis of the episode from there on out is they're going to come up with a plan to get in there, save the girl, because obviously they're creating drugs that destroys, the quirk genes in someone's body, and that's basically just like the whole plan. The whole plan is just to be able to do that, get the girl, get out of there, and that's pretty much it. But other than that, there were small little tidbits of the episode that I actually really enjoyed, and it's the fact that it does a lot more development for Midoriya's character. Because I think I've said this previously before in different episode reviews, but Midoriya is a pretty straightforward character, and for a while in previous seasons he was pretty one-dimensional, I feel like. Especially because the whole time as he's progressing through the seasons, his whole focus is to become, the number one hero, the greatest hero of all time, and do this and do that, and etc., etc. But the whole point of him going through all of this, through his work studies and internships and blah blah blah, is for him to finally learn what hero work actually, consists of. And the thing that I think the episode did really well in is that it showed a lot more humanity and depth within Midoriya's character, because there's a part in the episode where he's at the lunch tables, right? At UA, and he's sitting right next to Ida and Todoroki, and they see him just kind of staring off at his food. He's not eating his food at all, and Ida then gives a line that Midoriya had told Ida back in season 2 about, if you're feeling distressed, go ahead and tell me because we're friends, right? And Midoriya had said that before to Ida, and then Ida repeated that back to him, and it shows that the actions of one person's character motivates others, and Midoriya was able to do that, and he grew bonds and connections with these characters, and they're genuinely concerned for his safety and his well-being, because the whole time he's having a monologue with himself in his head, and the whole time he's just, excuse me, I'm still sick. The whole time, he's just extremely focused on doing this one singular thing, and all this information is being thrown at him all at once, and with All Might and then Eri, and then what's going on with her, and the fact that All Might's inevitable future is possibly going to end up with him in a gruesome death, and he wants to ask Night Eye about all this, but he's also forbidden to talk about work studies at all, so he can't even ask his friends how he should really feel about any of this at all. And the whole situation with what he's in and what he's thinking about this, he says himself that all this just seems to be too much for him, and it's too heavy a burden for him, even though he wants to be a hero and do the best he possibly can. He's barely holding it together, and he's really struggling with being himself now, and I feel like that's really good character growth. I feel like that's really amazing growth for his character, and he's changing, and he's becoming a lot less one-dimensional. That's what I meant to say, and I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed this part of the episode because it shows the impact that Midoriya has had on other characters, and it shows that they genuinely have concerns for him, but it also shows that he's more human than we give him credit for. Of course, Midoriya is obviously, a very emotional person to begin with, but, he was always a very emotional person to begin with. We've already seen that, but this showed a lot more that this is something that he's still trying to, grasp and, learn how to, contain. He's still trying to learn the true aspects of being a hero, and I think that this is really good, growth for his character. But other than that, just the episode kind of just continued off doing what it was doing. Miro is pretty much like Midoriya as well, because he could have saved Eri back when they had first found her, but then he had pretty much just allowed Chisaki to basically just take her and continue to keep making these drugs that disables people's quirks, and he's really ashamed about himself, and he feels like he failed her. But by the end of the episode, he ends up starting to feel a lot better because he's ready and he's prepared to be able to finally save her. And so they find out her location, they go there, action ensues, people's quirks that we haven't seen yet before, they're using them obviously, and some of them look really awesome. I'm gonna be transparent. Some of them look really cool. Some of them are kind of weird. Like this one guy who kind of just has this block or something. He's able to stop it in midair. He jumps on it to get to another building, and then he continues on, and he's able to retract it back to where he's currently standing. I don't know. That was really weird. And I'm not even really sure what his whole quirk is really about, but that's kind of the episode. The whole episode was basically just them trying to find out her location, more character growth and development for Midoriya's character, and just more world building with the other characters that he's surrounding himself with, and just them going out on this freaking heist to save this girl who's having her life put in danger by just this random villain. And it's really dark and it's really depressing, and I don't know what the hell's gonna happen next, but they leave off on the cliffhanger with all the action that's about to ensue, and I don't know, it was kind of disappointing. I really wanted to see a lot more action, but we're definitely gonna get more in the next episode. And I also really wanted to point out as well that Gran Torino didn't show up, and Midoriya asked where he was, but they don't really give an answer as to what happened, and I thought that was really weird, but whatever, maybe that will be explained soon. hopefully, because I thought that was actually really weird that he just decided not to show up for some reason. But whatever. So that's pretty much the episode. I really enjoyed it for the slower parts, and it got me, again, a lot more invested than I already kind of was to begin with. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of the video and the end of the episode. So like I said already before in the beginning of the video, I'm gonna go ahead and just take some Tylenol to get rid of this killer headache because it's been hurting this whole time. And yeah, I'm gonna get another video out by tomorrow, and it's just gonna be the Boruto review. It's probably not gonna be that long because by the previews of what we got last week, it doesn't really look all that exciting, but we'll see, I guess. So if you did enjoy for whatever reason, be sure to leave a like, and if you aren't, subscribe for more videos just like this. I'll see you guys next one. Hopefully I get better really soon because this is really killing me. I'm out. Peace.